I have a confession to make. I want to tell you about a failure. A pretty big one. And I'm not talking about the failure of the video I had yesterday, which I think I got to the bottom of why that video failed. I was not wearing a dress shirt. So here I am on a riverbank wearing a dress shirt. So this video should be better. But seriously, I wanted to talk about how I lost over $300,000 on a complementary business that I wanted to open up next to my real estate business. As you all already know, I'm a real estate broker. I sell over $20 million a year in real estate, and I do absolutely everything in my power to make sure I preserve an amazing reputation so that my clients know they're getting absolutely the best possible service. But I had a really big failure. I thought my successes in real estate would easily translate over into a complementary business. And certainly the real estate business was going to feed business to the other business, so it seemed like a no-lose proposition. But there are some incredible insights that you could learn by listening to my story of how I lost $300,000 at 26 years old. A quick little overview of an outline for you, just so you kind of know what you're going to be getting out of this. I'm going to talk to you about the vision for the business idea, exactly what failed, and possibly how that could have been prevented. I'm going to talk about solutions I came up with that also didn't work. I'm going to talk about the icing on the cake. Then I'm going to talk about retiring early, and then I'm going to talk about what's next. So let's get into the vision. It is really uncomfortable here. I should have brought a chair. Oh well. The vision was having a construction company that would be a full-service construction company. It would do staging, it would do short-term financing, it would do bridge loans, it would do whatever was necessary to make sure our real estate clients were getting absolutely the top-notch, best possible customer service ever. The rationale behind the company was, well, golly, we do so much real estate and we constantly have to outsource to different companies that sometimes they don't show up, they don't give us proposals in a timely manner, they don't bill in a timely manner, and it becomes really difficult for us to provide excellent customer service when we're constantly relying on other folks and we don't have control of those other service aspects. And note too that when I say we, I pretty much mean me. Because here's where this all came from. In 2015, I had by far the busiest year ever in real estate, and I did 100% of absolutely everything by myself. I photographed my own listings because I didn't like the photography other people did. I drone shot my own listings, so I got an FAA license to fly a drone for commercial purposes. I even put in my own for sale signs by staking them into the ground myself because I wanted the signs positioned my way, straight, clean, and perfect the way I like them. So out of this came this idea that, oh my gosh, if I had a set group, a core group of people who were really good at various different construction related things, they could learn and implement the systems that I created or eventually would create for the company to make sure that all of the services that I was providing my clients, whether they were on the real estate side or the construction side, were being provided in absolutely the most high quality way possible without fail, combining real estate and construction. Because think about it, real estate has one reputation. People generally don't like agents because they go, what do? They just go around, show property, and then they get a big commish. And then on the other hand, people don't like contractors because, well, maybe sometimes contractors don't show up or don't come back for callbacks, or it's difficult to get a project completed on time. My vision would change that, but I failed. And unfortunately, as with every large failure, there are usually a series of small failures that precede it. Here are 5 of those. I didn't heed the warning signs. When I have an idea, I usually don't do as much research as I should. I execute. I find myself to be a doer. I do not like sitting around planning and preparing to do things. I would rather just go do it and then find out the hard way. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened here. I found out the hard way to the tune of $300,000. Just for perspective, $300,000 could have allowed me to control 2 additional rental properties at $150,000 down on each of those. I was so anti-doing research, it wasn't until 6 months into the creating of my company that I realized there was another company trying to do something similar in San Diego. Yet, their reputation wasn't that good. While on one hand, they were providing great real estate service, I didn't realize because they were a real estate and construction service, society would say that, well, wait a minute. the house should be perfect. So when they would renovate the inside of a property and they wouldn't touch the roof and then the roof would leak, they would get 1-star reviews on now their real estate company for not fixing the roof when they owned the property. And I'm empathizing with them. Yet, even when I saw that 6 months in, I told myself, that ain't gonna be me. I'm not gonna have that problem. I'm different. I'm gonna do it better. So every negative review I read, I discarded. My thought was, well, I could just talk to the people and come up with a solution. You're gonna find out a little bit later what that solution ended up always being. Number 2, I fired Cannonballs rather than firing bullets, then firing cannonballs. That is an analogy to the book by Jim Collins' Great by Choice and the Good to Great series. In that book, Jim Collins suggests that if you're coming up with a new idea or you want to take your company into a different direction, you fire bullets at the enemy ship first so that you can calibrate your bullets, which bullets are small, insignificant, and inexpensive relative to a cannonball. And then once you have your calibration, in other words, you have an idea that looks like it's going to gain traction, an idea that's working, you fire cannonballs at only the ideas that work. That is a painful seating position. So instead, I fired cannonballs at every idea I had to the tune of $300,000. Problem number 3 is I didn't have the right management system in place to actually coordinate a second company. A second company when I already had a very successful and busy real estate company meant from the get-go, I didn't have the time I would need to be able to dedicate to this second company to actually make it work. So instead, I should have from the get-go had a very trustworthy individual that would have been able to manage and implement these visions. Now, I did try that. In fact, I started the company with somebody that was supposed to be the most trustworthy person ever. Somebody that came to me, recommended from family, somebody who had been working for our family for 10 years as a handy person. And this somebody was supposed to be the energetic person that would help me build the company and implement my systems. Yet it was only later that I realized that they weren't who they expressed they would be. And instead, they would take lunches on the clock. They would tell other employees, why are you working so hard? You're getting paid hourly, just take your time. And they didn't share the vision. It took me 6 months to realize this, and I let them go. But then I was really left in a void. Then I was really again left without that manager that I really needed. So I found somebody else, somebody who had 30 years of construction experience, was going to help us develop a solar division to our company because they had solar experience and was going to be able to manage the team and implement the true vision of the company. They were a licensed contractor at that and would be able to help us license our company. Yet none of the employees respected this person because ultimately this person also lied about every experience they had. They were not able to properly order solar panels,
or doors, or windows, or bolts, or lumber, or roofing, or paint, or cabinets, or flooring. Pretty much everything was misordered they touched.
Which meant I wrote checks for thousands of dollars in losses for products we ultimately wouldn't be able to use, or for delays and concessions to clients because I was lied to by somebody else's experience. Now, I don't want it to seem like I'm pointing the finger at somebody else. Ultimately, the buck stops with me. And that's where number 4 comes from. I didn't fire fast enough. I have so much empathy for people's mistakes. I had so much caring for the people that showed up to work for me every day. I would do anything for them. Maybe that was another problem. I was too nice of a boss. But there was a balance because a boss has to be respected. A boss has to be somebody people want to do good for. Yet unfortunately, I was only taken advantage of by the people I put in place to actually operate and help me grow the company. My most loyal employees were the ones who suffered because of that. Because I did not realize fast enough, despite them telling me, they were the ones who suffered. Number 5, I never truly internalized, because I didn't fire bullets first, how difficult of an industry construction is. See, to me, there are 3 elements of construction.
1, there's high quality work. 2, there's customer service, and 3, there's profit. One of those 3 usually fails, and I would rather fail at profit than affect my reputation by letting quality or customer service go down.
People say you have to be organized in a business, and I felt that I had procedures in place. I had directives. Look, if we were going to go scrape an asbestos ceiling so that we could gain experience for our asbestos certification, we have asbestos liability insurance and so on and so forth, then I want everything tarped off in a certain way. I want everything double lined with 3mm PVC. I want everybody wearing P100 respirators and Tyvek suits with their wrists and their legs tied and their goggles on, or even a full face respirator at that. I want the trash bags double bagged with asbestos contaminated material, and I want the gooseneck tied. But again, because I wasn't able to be there all day long, all the time, to be the supervisor myself, to be the person that would ensure that everything was being done appropriately and to the standards and procedures that were set forth, and because the people I thought I could rely on, I didn't realize I actually had no business even thinking I could rely on them, I failed. So now, don't think I just threw in the towel. I tried very, very hard. The first thing I did was I tried to find a replacement for my management staff. I needed a contractor that not only had the experience, but the vision of the company and the ability to be there to encourage this wonderful group of people that I had working for me and ensure that they were kept on track. Because see, the problem in business is if the leader is working at 80% efficiency, everybody else is working at 50% efficiency. But I realized there's another problem in construction. I put out calls to people and offered them $150,000 salaries just to be at my company 46 hours a week and manage my team. They would have to have a contractor's license. They would have to have the experience and the ability to be there every day, all day long, and to meet with customers to make sure that their concerns were taken care of. Basically, run a construction company and collect $150,000 a year. And everybody denied. Everybody denied the opportunity that I contacted, because here's the thing. If somebody was that good at it, they would just do it themselves. Or they'd demand like a $300,000 salary to the point where it doesn't make sense to be self-employed. Because that's the nature of construction. The nature of construction is it is fragmented. Harvard tells us that the reason construction is so fragmented is because it relies so heavily on the skills and expertise of the main owner. And because it is a business that is hard to standardize, you have fragmented construction companies throughout the entire country with no standardized systems and processes for good remodeling work. Now, sure, you have door and window companies that are national brand, or these small service businesses or HVAC companies. But full-on remodelers, very hard to come by, at least ones with a great reputation. I realized that the hard way. Again, I only researched that Harvard study a year into this company because I shot cannonballs, I didn't shoot bullets. So while I was trying to solve everything, another failure I made was not advertising the business sooner. That's because we were really busy handling renovations that either I was putting on, flips, or our existing clients were asking for help on. Problem was, and this was the icing on the cake, this summer when the market crashed in our area, so did the need for remodeling. When it became hard to take listings because properties weren't selling, it became harder to get construction clients. And in a falling market, the last thing I want to do is advocate to my clients, hey, you should renovate your property before we go to sell. Because realistically, if you put 20 grand in a falling market, you might end up losing 40 grand just because you took so long remodeling. I also realized my relationship with my clients somewhat changed because rather than being that humble advisor that was going to provide clients the most unbiased information, I worried that even though I knew on the inside I was still providing unbiased information, I knew that there was a chance I was coming across as advocating repairs or updates solely because I wanted or needed business for my construction company. And that dichotomy, that relationship change between my clients was not one that I felt was me. I'm the last person that wants to call a client and bill them. I'm the last person that wants to ask somebody for money. If anything, I'm the first person to give money. For example, we had a solar job that was just bid wrong. So I gave the entire solar job from a real estate client of mine to a different solar company to fulfill. But they wouldn't be able to do it for anything less than $5,000 more than what we charged. So I had two choices. I could tell my client, Sucks for you guys, we ain't doing it anymore. Or I could do what I did, and I wrote the $5,000 check to make sure that my real estate clients still got the solar panels for the price that I told them I could get them for. That was, again, me relying too heavily on somebody that I thought was an expert. See, and then this is where it came to a point of realizing I felt like I was losing a child. This was the baby that I passed the contractor test for, I became a licensed lender for, I spent thousands of dollars advertising for, to create logos and a brand and an app, and now that's all for nothing. You know, people have asked me, well, Kevin, why didn't you just take that 300 grand and be financially free and retire early? And, you know, fortunately I look and I say, well, could still do that, but that's just not me. That ain't me. And so that's where it's time to just get up and get out of the marsh. It's time to realize that it's okay to fail, as hard as it is to fail. It's okay to suck sometimes. Gosh, maybe the best thing about failing was that I failed early. The sheer amount of knowledge and respect I have for the construction industry now is so huge. I mean, watch my video yesterday, please. Like, nobody's watching my video yesterday, but it really shows you how difficult it is to make a buck in construction. But even aside from that, at least I know I was true to myself. Yeah, I sucked. I failed. I lost 300 grand. But I'm never gonna make that mistake again. And now I'm gonna take the lessons I've learned and the things that I could salvage that I've created with the second company and hopefully create something even better. So hopefully you'll join me on this journey. I've been holding this back for too long. So if you want more insight on how I failed, how I lost these $300,000, press that like button, smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and be a part of the journey.